Imagine, for a moment, that you are a product developer for an $11.3 billion global market company. Now, usually, you spend your days designing a variety of nutrition, beauty, and home care products. But then, one day, you are assigned to design and develop the company's very first board game. Oh, what an opportunity! With the business's inexhaustible resources at your disposal, what kinds of new rules innovations and inventive mechanisms and breakthroughs in component quality will you and your corporate think tank come up with? Well, today on Thrift Sift, the series about games that I pick up at thrift stores because they look interesting, bizarre, or a combination of both, we discover the answer to this question in the form of 1981's Victory Circle, a board game carefully crafted by the sales and marketing corporate juggernaut, Amway. So, was this billion-dollar company's foray into board game design a victory? Or are they just going around in circles? Well, join me and find out as we explore Victory Circle, today on Thrift Sift. Now, in order to properly evaluate a board game that's over 25 years old and published by a company better known for producing makeup crafted from Norwegian fjord water, it may help to first gain some perspective by instead looking at a different game, a somewhat modern-day analog to Victory Circle, a board game designed by another not a board game company. Oh, that's heavy. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy cards and board in this thing. Mechs vs. Minions by Riot Games. Now, admittedly, this is not going to be a perfect one-to-one comparison, because whereas Riot Games earns their billions as a video game developer, so yeah, they're familiar with game design concepts, Amway primarily produces vitamins, dietary supplements, and a patented blend of beauty botanicals designed to, quote, unleash the power of hair. You hear that, hair? Yeah, that's right. Ready or not, your days of lackadaisically sitting on top of our heads is over. Prepare to be empowered. Anyway, the point is that when Riot Games decided to put a portion of their billions in annual revenue towards producing a board game, the result was several years of development, countless hours of playtesting and revisions, spectacular attention to detail, and sparing no expense on production and components. But as impressive as that may be, it only serves to whet my appetite to see what Amway, a company with nearly twice the annual revenue at their disposal, came up with. How did their product production pioneers raise the bar for game design? Did it involve lasers? Groundbreaking advances in AI? Did they include a painstakingly trained ocelot with every purchase to play the game with you? Well, to answer this question, we must travel back to the early 1980s, where one of the world's largest direct-selling businesses of home care consumables assigned one of its product developers the seemingly innocuous task of creating a board game for the company's growing line of quality household products.
Well, good morning there, cubicle dweller. Well, first thing, good work on designing that non-toxic lavender-scented toilet cleanser that also doubles as a salad dressing. Now, if you can do that, your next assignment, designing a board game, should be a snap. Doesn't even have to be edible.
And so they sprung into action on this challenging project, laboring diligently to unleash the power of board games. Well, surely, the hours blurred into days, weeks, yet they persevered. They dug deep. They worked hard. They burnt the midnight oil, and then they just ended up reprinting a game called Conquer that had been released 2 years prior, renaming it Victory Circle.
Well, good morning there, deductible payroll expense number 31974. Tell me, have you completed that board game assignment yet? Oh, let's see here. Adequate work. Adequate work. Now, go and design me an environmentally friendly, fragrance-free laundry detergent that also doubles as a salad dressing.
Now, at first, just taking an existing game and retitling it may sound like a terribly lazy approach to board game design, but that's what separates cunning corporations like them from the everyday board game bumpkins like you and me. You see, by starting with an already established game, the business behemoth was left with far more of its project budget available to pour into developing true board gaming innovations. So let's find out how this brilliant tactic paid off by taking a look at how to play Victory Circle, not Conquer. Circle. Please remember that any game obtained on Thrift Sift may be incomplete. But typically, Victory Circle is a game for 2 to 4 players that includes, inside its box, 1 game board, 16 plastic playing pieces, a die, and a sheet of paper with instructions written on it. In ink! To play the game, each player first selects a color and then places their 4 playing pieces on their Victory Circle. Victory is your... Oh, wait, no, that's not victory, that's just beginning. Sorry, that's just where we start. On their turn, the player rolls the die, then moves one of their pieces that many spaces in either direction, but only in one direction per turn. For example, if the player rolled a 5, they could move 5 spaces like this, or 5 spaces like this, but not 5 spaces like this. Nor could they move 7 spaces like this because it's only a 6-sided die. If a player's piece stops on a space that's occupied by an opponent's piece, they cover the opponent's piece with their own. This process is called capping. On subsequent turns, the player's piece will take the capped one along with it on its way back to the player's Victory Circle. Speaking of the player's Victory Circle, the players need not roll the exact number to enter their Victory Circle. If, for example, a player rolls a 5 and is just 2 measly stinking spaces away from the entrance to their Victory Circle, the player moves the 2 spaces into the Victory Circle, leaves the capped playing piece behind, and then uses the remaining 3 of the count to move 3 spaces back out of their Victory Circle. Any piece that is located inside of an opponent's Victory Circle is considered captured and is out of the game. The game ends when all of a player's pieces are either capped and or captured, and at that point, the player who has capped and or captured the most playing pieces wins the game. Now, the average unsophisticated board gamer may find a game of Victory Circle to be a painfully generic experience. Like digging into your Christmas stocking to find one of those educational Spider-Man comics that they'd hand out in grade school, and just for a second, you're really excited about the concept. But then, oh, look, some spineless marketing desk jockey went and sucked all the life right out of this thing, leaving just a husk of what's supposed to make this thing enjoyable. Like a child discovering that Santa Claus has been viciously attacked by vampires. But those who fail to see the beauty in Victory Circle's blandness are stupid complainers with expectations that are set too high. Because let's remember that the game Victory Circle was lightly inspired by Conquer, which was published in 1979, and board game design was much different back then. I mean, I think it's safe to say that none of the games that were published that year are still being played at all by gamers today. Oh, well, of course, with the possible exception of maybe of Dune, which would later be reintroduced as Rex Final Days of an Empire. And, of course, Guess Who, which, has kind of become a children's classic. Oh, I also still hear of Reifenbreite being praised by reviewers today. And I know that a number of gamers still have a real soft spot for Magic Realm. And there's Starfleet Battles, which was only recently dethroned as the ultimate Star Trek tactical combat game. And Stop Thief, which is being reintroduced by Restoration Games later this very year. But merely listing a series of accurate and appropriate examples like this doesn't prove anything. So sure, when compared not only to the quality of a current game produced by a not a board game company, but also to several other games published that very same year, Victory Circle could potentially come across as having as much character as a house brand loaf of pre-sliced white bread. And sure, this may be due to the fact that this game was vomited out by a soulless multi-billion-dollar corporation that likely decided by committee that it needed to churn out a board game simply to help satisfy the sales quotas for its product line of home consumables. But really, even with all of that, I think what's really important to remember here is that this is a soulless multi-billion-dollar corporation that still is around today with a well-financed and active legal department. And that's why, if you take a really close look at Victory Circle, I think you'll find that there's absolutely no way I'm going to risk going on record as saying anything defamatory about it. So until next time, I've been Chaz Marler, and thank you for joining me on this Thrift Sift to discuss Victory Circle, quite possibly the best board game of all time, as long as there's a possibility that someone's attorney is out there watching. This one's for my thrift store homies in Bangor, Maine. Miss you guys already.